This is Tanner Riley. Tanner is a junior at Marshall, I believe. Is that correct, Tanner?
Yes.
Tanner, what's your major, Tanner?
Economics.
Economics.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about high school when you were. But what led to the decision to go to Marshall?
Well, it really wasn't much to it. I mean, I really didn't care which one I really went to. I liked a couple of colleges the same. And then when my friends made a decision, your brother being one of them and another friend of mine, they were going to go to Marshall. I figured I'd just go with them because I'd already have somebody I knew up there. And I didn't like Marshall any less than any other college, so I figured that's what I'd do. Plus, it was close home.
Sounds like a good time. Now, what's your current major?
Economics.
Economics. Was that your first choice out of high school?
No, my first choice was going to be biology. Then I took my first biology class, and I knew right away what it was for me. Too much memorizing, and I changed it.
So with economics, what kind of job are you looking at? What are you planning on doing?
That I'm not sure of yet. I still need to talk to some people at Marshall. I need to go see some people about that, but I'll figure it out. I'm not sure yet.
So in your economics classes, what interests you the most about economics?
Probably the different ways that like supply and demand is like changed, like because it's not just like people want this more than something else. It's like there's different reasons. I mean, that it can change in different cycles, like different times of years. Supply and demand of one thing can change, and how they just.
Does the economy, is it discussed in a lot of your classes, with your economics classes?
It depends on what class. I mean, some classes it does, some classes it doesn't. But I just now started last semester with the economics major, so I haven't really had very many classes yet.
So just a lot of basics and prerequisites that go along with this major.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like I've had to take accounting and microeconomics, macroeconomics.
Do you like to deal with numbers a lot?
Yeah, I've always been good with numbers. That's kind of a reason why I'm not great with numbers, but good enough. And one reason why I chose economics.
So, how many more years do you have left in school? Do you think you'll finish in 4 years?
I believe so. I might go back like after a couple of years and get a master's. Like my friend Levi said he was going to do. I'm not sure about that.
Let's talk a little bit about college life. When you went up there, you decided to join a fraternity. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there's a common misconception about fraternities, at least ours. Like everybody thinks you just show up, party, and then go home. But like there's a lot more to it than that. Like we do community service. We raise money for like different like philanthropies and stuff, and a lot of charity work. So there's a lot more to it than like just going to a party. And that's it.
Do you think joining a fraternity was beneficial to you as a student at Marshall?
Absolutely. I went to school my freshman year as a kid, and being in this fraternity has made me a man.
Well, there you have it.
In terms of like responsibility and like and confidence, meeting new people and stuff like that. That's what I mean.
So you think that the fraternity has helped you grow?
Yeah, like as a person. Yeah.
And it sounds
It's helped me grow.
it sounds to me that the fraternity has a lot to do with giving back to the community, volunteer
It
work.
does a lot more than what people think. And even if you try, a lot of people you try to tell them that, and they just like, yeah, whatever. You're just supposed to say that, but it's really the truth.
Back to your major, what classes are you going to have to get through? What would you say that your hardest classes are coming up that you're maybe worried about? Or
Well, for me, I struggled with accounting that I had last semester. I mean, I got through it, but it was probably the toughest one. But luckily for me, you don't have to do as well in the accounting class because that's not like directly your major. It's something you have to take for your major, but it's not like directly correlated to it. So like if I don't like ace the class, it doesn't really hurt me that much. But that's probably for me the hardest so far.
well, I understand this year is going to be a little bit different for you. lived with my brother and some of his friends for the first couple of years, and you're now moving into the frat house this year. So how do you think that's going to affect your schoolwork, or how do you think you're going to feel about that when the year starts?
Well, the way I've been thinking about it thus far, I think it's going to actually help me because where I've been living in a dorm, there's been like a place like in the dorm you can do your homework at, like I mean if you want to, but in this house where I'm going to be this year, there isn't really like in my room I'm not going to have a desk like I had the past 2 years, but this year I'm going to be forced to go to the library and do it. And obviously, I mean, what better place to go than to the library to study and do homework? So I think it'll help me actually.
Well, what do you think a Marshall diploma will bring to the table with you getting a job? I mean, do you think that graduating from Marshall will be beneficial to you? Do you think that diploma will mean something more than another school?
Well, I mean, obviously it's going to be helpful. I mean, it's not like Marshall is like an Ivy League school, but I mean, it's not like it's a school where education is like not good. You know, I mean, I like to think it's a good school in terms of getting an education. And I mean, obviously it's not top notch, but it's good enough. Learning from Marshall is going to help you start your career.
What other activities do you participate in at Marshall? Do you participate in any intramural leagues or play sports or find any other activities besides the fraternity that keeps you busy and the homework, of course?
Well, I mean, with the fraternity, like we have, like there's a league before all the fraternities played. I mean, pretty much every sport against each other. I play pretty much every one of those. So I mean, there's always like, not a week goes by where you don't have some sort of game at least. I mean, most of the time. So I mean, you stay pretty active playing sports with the fraternity.
Well, one topic I'm curious about is Greek Week. I've always heard a lot about it. There's a lot of sports activities going on, tournaments between the fraternities, I believe. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what that's like to be a part of?
Well, Greek Week is pretty much all, Greek Week is like a fraternity wins Greek Week, and that's like who can win the most sports. If you win basketball, you get this many points. If you win another sport, you get this many points. And like how well you do, I mean, obviously who has the most points at the end of the week, Greek Week wins Greek Week, and you'd be surprised how competitive it is, at least for us, because I mean we take pride in winning Greek Week because we won it the past 2 years, one for the three-peat this year, and so yeah, I mean for us it's pretty competitive, and that's pretty much how it works.
If you win the three-peat, you can put yourself up to the ranks of Michael Jordan. Maybe you could do that 2 times. So Greek Week sounds very competitive. Probably it brings you a lot back to your high school days, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, because obviously everybody misses playing sports when they get out of high school, and it kind of, at least for a week, it kind of takes you back, because all the competing you do.
Do you have any second thoughts about, going back to the degree, do you have any second thoughts about this choice? Are you pretty comfortable with the choice you've made?
Yeah, this is actually like the first major I've had where I haven't had my doubts. So so far I'm all in this. Way to go.
Well, it's very normal for a student to change his major time and time again. So it's good to be involved in something that that interests you and something that makes you comfortable. Would you like to add anything else about your experience at Marshall so far?
No, it's everything that I pictured college to be, probably even better. And joining the fraternity is what really made it that fun. Because my whole first semester as a freshman, we did absolutely nothing except for go to class and sit in the dorm and play Xbox. But once we joined the fraternity, there's always something going on. We have to be here. You have to do this. It's a blast.
Well, Tanner, I appreciate your time and thanks for sitting down and talking to me.
No problem.